The biting July wind sliced through Paulista Avenue like a sharp blade. Marina Hayes pulled her thin coat tighter around her body, trying to shield little Sophia, who was sleeping wrapped in worn blankets in her arms. The baby was only 4 months old, and her rosy face contrasted sharply with her mother's sickly pallor. Marina coughed incessantly, each spasm making her chest burn as if it were on fire. She and her daughter had been sleeping on the streets of São Paulo for 3 weeks, ever since overdue rent resulted in their summary eviction from the small room they called home. The night was especially cold for São Paulo standards. Marina walked slowly along the busy sidewalk, watching the hurried pedestrians who passed her by as if she were invisible. Some deliberately looked away, others pretended not to see. She had already given up asking for help in that area. The people on Paulista Avenue seemed too rushed to care about desperate mothers and hungry babies. It was then that Marina saw the car, a black imported sedan, gleaming under the streetlights, parked in front of one of the avenue's most imposing corporate buildings. A tall man, in an impeccable suit and rigid posture, was walking toward the vehicle. Marina recognized in him the expression of someone accustomed to having everything under control. She gathered all the courage she had left and approached him. "Please, sir, I just need a few dollars to buy milk for my daughter. She's been hungry for hours." The man didn't even slow his pace. His cold eyes swept over her for a fraction of a second before looking away, as if Marina were just another urban obstacle to be avoided. He got into the car without saying a word, and the engine roared, powerful and indifferent. Marina felt tears sting her eyes, but she didn't have time to surrender to despair. As the vehicle pulled away, something fell from the slightly open driver's window, landing with a dry thud on the sidewalk. Marina walked over to the object, and her heart pounded. It was a genuine leather wallet, heavy and obviously expensive. She looked around, searching for the black car, but it had already disappeared into the avenue's heavy traffic. With trembling hands, Marina picked up the wallet and quickly moved to a more discreet corner, sheltered by the shadow of an awning. When she opened the object, Marina almost gasped. There was money in there, a lot of money. $100 bills stacked in several compartments. She counted mentally and estimated there was at least $20,000 in that wallet. $20,000. Enough to rent a room for months, buy clothes and medicine for Sophia, eat properly, maybe even get a real job if she had a fixed address. That money was the difference between life and the continuation of that nightmare on the streets. Sophia stirred in Marina's arms, emitting a soft cry of hunger. The sound broke her mother's heart. She looked at the wallet again, feeling the temptation grow like an overwhelming wave. No one needed to know. The man wouldn't even notice the immediate absence of the money, not with that car and that suit. He probably had much more stored in some safe. Marina, on the other hand, had absolutely nothing. But then her eyes landed on something that made her hesitate. In the document compartment, there was an old photograph, slightly faded at the edges. Marina carefully took it out and examined it under the weak streetlight. The image showed the same man who had ignored her minutes earlier, but he looked completely different. Younger, with his hair still dark and without the gray strands she saw now. And he was smiling. It wasn't a formal posed photograph smile, but a genuine smile, the kind that reaches the eyes and reveals true happiness. Beside him, a girl of about 5 with braids and a floral dress hugged his neck with evident joy. Marina turned the photo over and found a faded inscription on the back, handwritten in delicate feminine script. "To my love, Robert, and our little Isabella. Summer of 2010. Marina felt something strange tighten her chest. That cold, distant man had been a father. He had loved someone enough to carry that photo with him all these years. What could have happened to that smiling child? Why did he now seem so empty? Sophia cried louder, and Marina automatically rocked her daughter, trying to calm her. She looked at the money again, then at the photo, then at her baby. The internal battle was cruel. Every cell in her body screamed for her to keep that money, that it was her salvation. But something deeper, something that not even hunger and despair could completely erase, whispered something else. It was the same voice that made her sing to Sophia every night, even when she was too exhausted to move. The voice that reminded her that no matter how low she had fallen, she was still the mother who wanted her daughter to grow up knowing right from wrong. Marina closed the wallet with a shaky sigh. She knew what she had to do, even if every fiber of her being fought against that decision. She needed to return that money, not out of naive kindness or believing the world was fair, but because if she kept that money, she would have to live knowing she stole. She would have to look at Sophia one day and explain that honesty only matters when it's convenient. And Marina couldn't do that. She examined the documents in the wallet and found the man's name, Robert Mendelsohn. There was also a corporate business card with an address on Paulista Avenue itself, Mendelsohn Holdings, CEO. Marina recognized the company name. She had seen the logo on several buildings around the city. That man was not just rich, he was powerful, and she was about to do something many would consider completely insane. Marina tucked the wallet inside her worn backpack, protecting it carefully. She looked at Sophia, who had finally fallen back asleep, and whispered softly, "Mommy is going to do something very risky, my love, but I promise it's for us. I promise it will work out." The walk to the Mendelsohn Holdings building was not long in distance, just a few blocks up the avenue. But for Marina, sick and exhausted, it seemed like an impossible journey. Every step cost monumental effort. Her vision blurred sometimes. Small black spots danced in her periphery. The cough worsened by the minute, and she had to stop every few dozen feet to catch her breath. When she finally reached the building entrance, a tower of glass and steel that rose imposingly against the night sky, Marina felt her legs give way. A uniformed security guard immediately blocked her path, his face contorted in an expression of poorly disguised contempt. "Move along. This is no place for people like you." Marina tried to explain, but her voice came out hoarse and weak. "I need to speak with Mr. Robert Mendelsohn. It's urgent. I have something that belongs to him." The guard laughed, a cruel, mocking sound. "Sure you do. And I'm the president's personal friend. Get out of here before I call the police. I'm not lying." Marina opened her backpack with trembling fingers and showed the wallet, keeping it out of the man's reach. "This wallet is his. He dropped it on the street a little while ago. I just want to return it." The guard narrowed his eyes, clearly suspicious. He grabbed the radio clip to his belt. "Let me confirm this, but if you're trying some kind of scam, you're going to regret it." Marina waited, hugging Sophia tightly, while the guard spoke softly into the radio. After a few minutes that felt like hours, he turned off the device and looked at her with a slightly surprised expression. "You can go up. 22nd floor. But any strange movement, and the police will be waiting for you at the exit." The elevator was mirrored and air-conditioned, a stark contrast to the cold, hostile world outside. Marina saw her reflection and barely recognized herself. The pale, sunken face, cracked lips, deep-set eyes surrounded by dark circles. She looked like she had aged 10 years in the last 3 weeks. Sophia, at least, still looked healthy, though too thin for a 4-month-old baby. The elevator doors opened directly into a luxurious office. Marble floor, modern designer furniture, artwork on the walls. And there, standing behind a massive dark wood desk, was Robert Mendelsohn. He stared at her with an expression that mixed surprise and irritation. "What do you want?" His voice was cold, sharp as broken glass. Marina took a step forward, staggering. "I came to return your wallet, sir. You dropped it when you got out of the car." Robert frowned and checked his jacket pockets. His eyes widened slightly when he realized the wallet really wasn't there. "Give it here." Marina held out the wallet, and Robert took it abruptly, opening it to inspect the contents. He counted the money, checked the cards, examined every compartment. His expression gradually became less hostile, replaced by something close to confusion. "It's all here." Robert stared at her with renewed suspicion. "Why did you return it?" "You could have kept the money. God knows you look like you need it more than I do." Marina took a deep breath, feeling her head spin. Because it's not mine. Because I still have dignity, even without having anything else. And because I wanted to ask you for something. Something money can't buy. Robert raised an eyebrow, crossing his arms. Of course, there's always an ulterior motive. What do you want? Money? A job? Let me guess, you're going to blackmail me by saying you could have kept the wallet but were nice enough to return it. So now I owe you something. No. Marina felt tears threaten to spill, but she forced herself to maintain composure. I want you to take care of my daughter, just for a while, until I can recover. The silence that followed was deafening. Robert stared at her as if she had said the most absurd thing in the world. Then he started to laugh, a dry, humorless laugh. You're crazy, completely insane. You think I'm just going to agree to take care of a stranger's child? Do you have any idea what you're asking? I know how this sounds. Marina took another step, her voice desperate. But I'm sick. Very sick. And if I seek help at public hospitals, they will take my daughter. They will separate me from her and put her in a shelter. I can't let that happen. She's all I have. I just need time to get treatment, to get back on my feet. Then I'll come back for her, I promise. Robert shook his head, his expression hardening again. That's not my problem. You need to contact the proper authorities. Social services, shelters. You can't just show up at someone's office and ask them to take care of your child. That's insane. Please. Marina felt the tears finally stream down. I returned your wallet. I could have taken that money and solved my problems for months. But I chose to be honest. I chose to do the right thing. Now I'm asking you, begging you to help me. Not out of obligation, but because some part of you still cares. I saw the photo of your daughter. You know what it's like to love a child. You know what it's like to want to protect her from everything. The mention of the photo made Robert stiffen completely. His face, already cold, became a stone mask. You know nothing about me. Nothing. And you have no right to mention my daughter. Get out, now! But Marina couldn't respond. The room began to spin violently, and she felt her legs give way. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was Robert moving toward her, his arms outstretched to catch Sophia before the baby fell with her. Marina woke up slowly, feeling heavy and confused. Her eyes took a few seconds to adjust to the soft light filtering through the window. She was no longer in the cold, luxurious office. She was lying in a bed, a real bed with clean, soft sheets. The room was small but comfortable, simply decorated with light wood furniture and neutral-toned walls. For a terrifying moment, Marina couldn't remember where she was or how she had gotten there. Then the memory returned like a violent wave. The office, Robert Mendelsohn, her desperate plea, the feeling of fainting, and Sophia. Where was Sophia? Marina tried to get up abruptly, but severe dizziness forced her to sit on the edge of the bed, breathing heavily. That's when she heard the sound. A baby's cry, muffled but unmistakable. She got up with effort and followed the sound to a slightly ajar door leading to a small adjacent room. There, in a makeshift crib made of pillows and blankets, was Sophia, awake and crying. Marina rushed to her daughter and picked her up, frantically checking if everything was okay. Sophia was clean, in a new diaper, and wearing pajamas Marina didn't recognize. Someone had taken care of her. Someone had changed and dressed her baby while Marina was unconscious. The thought was both comforting and terrifying. The bedroom door opened, and an elderly woman entered carrying a tray of food. She was short and robust, with gray hair pulled back in a simple bun and a face that conveyed natural kindness. "Oh, you're awake. Thank goodness." Mr. Robert was worried. "You were unconscious for almost 2 hours." Marina held Sophia tighter, instinctively backing away. "Where am I? What's going on?" The woman placed the tray on a small table and smiled gently. "You are in the guest house on Mr. Robert's property. He asked me to take care of you and the little one. My name is Connie. I've been the housekeeper for the main house for 20 years. Don't worry, dear. You fainted in his office. He brought both of you here and called a private doctor. The doctor said you have severe pneumonia and serious malnutrition. He left some medicine and instructions. Marina felt tears well up again. He didn't send me away? Connie shook her head, her expression becoming more complex. Not immediately. He said you can stay here for 1 week. 7 days for you to recover and sort out your situation. The medicine is paid for, the food will be provided, but after that deadline, you need to leave and seek official assistance agencies. Those were his exact words. 1 week, 7 days. Marina knew it wasn't enough to solve everything, but it was infinitely more than she had minutes ago. It was a chance, even if small. She hugged Sophia against her chest and nodded. I understand. I'll accept. And please thank Mr. Robert for me. Connie picked up the tray and brought it closer. Now you need to eat. The doctor was very clear about that. You are very weak. There's chicken soup, fresh bread, and juice. Nothing heavy so it won't upset your stomach. Marina ate slowly, feeling her body thank her for every spoonful of warm soup. She hadn't eaten anything so substantial in weeks. Sophia nursed and then fell asleep peacefully, and Marina finally allowed her body to relax. Connie stayed in the room for some time, tidying things up and explaining where the bathroom was, the clean towels, and the clothes she had set aside for Marina to wear while hers were being washed. Can I ask a question? Marina looked at the housekeeper with cautious curiosity. Why did he do this? Why did Mr. Robert bring me here instead of just calling an ambulance or sending me away? Connie sighed, sitting in the chair beside the bed. I've worked for Mr. Robert for many years, dear. I saw him change after he lost his family. He wasn't like this before. He was a warm, kind man, always smiling. But after that happened, he completely shut down. He became cold, distant. I think a part of him recognized something in you. Maybe the desperation of a mother trying to protect her daughter. Maybe the memory of when he also fought to protect his own. What happened to his daughter? Marina asked softly. Connie looked away, her voice dropping lower. It's not my story to tell, dear. But know that Mr. Robert carries deep wounds, and sometimes wounded people do unexpected things when confronted with the pain of others. Marina spent the following days in a careful routine of recovery. She took the prescribed medicine religiously, ate the meals Connie brought 3 times a day, and rested whenever Sophia slept. Her cough gradually began to improve, and strength slowly returned to her exhausted body. Connie was a constant and comforting companion, telling stories about the city, teaching Marina simple things like preparing oatmeal for Sophia and offering maternal advice that Marina absorbed with gratitude. But during all this time, Marina didn't see Robert once. The guest house was separated from the main mansion by a small, well-kept garden. And although Marina could see the imposing structure through the window, there was no sign of movement or presence from the property owner. It was as if he had disappeared after bringing them there, fulfilling his moral obligation but maintaining absolute emotional distance. On the 3rd night, something changed. Marina had just put Sophia to sleep when she heard footsteps outside. She peeked through the window and saw Robert walking through the garden, hands in his pants pockets, head down. He seemed to be simply wandering aimlessly, lost in thought. Marina watched as he occasionally stopped, looking up at the night sky before continuing his solitary walk. There was something deeply melancholic about that scene. A man clearly tormented, wandering his own property like a ghost trapped between the past and the present. Marina felt an unexpected pang of empathy. Whatever had happened to him, it was obvious he still carried an overwhelming burden. Sophia woke up in the middle of the night, crying inconsolably. Marina tried everything, nursing her, changing her diaper, rocking her, singing softly. But nothing worked. The baby cried with an intensity Marina hadn't seen before, and she started to panic, fearing something was wrong. She was about to wake Connie when the door opened abruptly. Robert stood in the doorway, still dressed in casual clothes, clearly awakened by the child's crying. He entered without asking permission, his expression serious and concerned. What's going on? Is she sick? Marina shook her head, desperate. I don't know. She won't stop crying. I've tried everything, but nothing works. I don't know what to do. Robert hesitated for just a second before extending his arms. Let me try. Marina was paralyzed. Letting her daughter into the arms of that unknown man went against all her maternal instincts. But there was something in Robert's voice, a note of understanding that wasn't there before. With trembling hands, she passed Sophia to him. Robert took the baby with surprising familiarity, positioning her against his shoulder at a specific angle. He began to walk around the room in a rhythmic pattern, rocking gently while murmuring something too low for Marina to hear. Gradually, miraculously, Sophia's crying began to subside. In a few minutes, she was only softly sobbing and then silenced completely, snuggling against Robert's chest. Marina watched in stunned silence. How did you do that? Robert continued rocking the child for a few more minutes before answering, his voice low and rough. My daughter had colic when she was a baby. I learned she calmed down in this specific position with constant movement. It seems to work for other children too. He spent another 10 minutes walking around the room, ensuring Sophia was completely asleep before carefully returning her to Marina. The baby sighed contentedly in her mother's arms and continued sleeping peacefully. Marina looked at Robert with a mixture of gratitude and confusion. Thank you. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come. Robert looked away as if uncomfortable with the thanks. She must have had a little gas. It's common at this age. Connie can teach you some massages that help prevent it. There was a long moment of silence. Robert remained standing in the middle of the room, clearly wanting to leave but seemingly unable to move. Marina realized there was something he wanted to say but couldn't formulate the words. Why did you really do this? Marina asked softly. Why did you bring us here? It wasn't just about the wallet, was it? Robert finally looked at her, and for the first time, Marina saw beyond the cold mask. There was pain there, a pain so deep it seemed bottomless. I don't know. When you fainted and I held your daughter to keep her from falling, for a moment I was back 15 years ago, holding my Isabella, feeling that small, fragile weight in my arms, feeling the duty to protect. And I realized that if I sent you away in that state, if something happened to you or your daughter, I wouldn't be able to live with it. I carry enough weight already. He took a deep breath, as if the following words cost immense effort. But that doesn't change anything. You still have to leave at the end of the week. I can't get more involved than this. I can't get attached. Not again. Before Marina could respond, Robert had already left the room, closing the door behind him with a soft click. Marina stood still, hugging Sophia, feeling that she had just witnessed a small fracture in the armor of that tormented man. There was humanity there, buried under layers of pain and loss. And for the first time, Marina wondered if perhaps the salvation she sought could, in some way, also save Robert Mendelsohn. The days passed in a quiet but tense sequence. Marina continued to recover, her health visibly improving each day. Connie often commented on how the color was returning to her face and how she seemed to be gaining a little weight. Sophia also thrived with regular feeding in a safe, warm environment, but Marina couldn't stop thinking about the approaching deadline. Only 3 days left, then 2, then 1, and she had no concrete plan about what to do when the week ended. On the morning of the 6th day, Connie brought disturbing news. My dear, I need to tell you something. Mr. Robert's brother came to visit him last night. I didn't mean to listen, but they were arguing loudly in the main house office. His brother found out you're here, and he's not happy about it at all. Marina felt her stomach drop. What did he say? Connie hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. He accused Mr. Robert of being manipulated. Said you're a con artist, taking advantage of his goodwill. Said Mr. Robert is trying to replace the daughter he lost and that this will end badly for everyone. The discussion got very intense. Marina closed her eyes, feeling a familiar weight of guilt crush her chest. I'm not a con artist. I never asked him for money. I just wanted a chance to recover and take care of my daughter without losing her to the system. I know that, dear. And deep down, I think Mr. Robert knows it too. But his brother planted seeds of doubt. And tomorrow is your last day here. Connie placed her hand gently on Marina's shoulder. You need to start thinking about what you're going to do. You need a plan. But Marina had no plan. And as the 6th day turned into night, she faced the terrible reality of her situation. She was physically stronger, yes, but still not strong enough to work. She had no money, no home, no references to get a job. And tomorrow, she and Sophia would be back on the streets, unless she did the one thing she feared more than anything else in the world, unless she sought official help and risked losing her daughter forever. Marina couldn't sleep that last night. She stayed awake until dawn, watching Sophia sleep peacefully in the makeshift crib, memorizing every detail of her daughter's face as if it were the last time she would see her. The soft morning light began to filter through the curtains, bringing with it the inescapable reality. The deadline was over. It was time to leave. She quietly got up and began to pack the few things she had. Connie had washed and ironed her old clothes, and had also left some extra pieces that she said were donations Marina could keep. Marina dressed Sophia carefully, trying not to wake her yet. Every movement seemed to carry an immense weight, as if she were walking toward an execution. It was then that Marina made a decision. She couldn't face Robert again. She couldn't see him and thank him and leave, as if that week hadn't changed anything. She couldn't risk her presence creating more problems for him, especially after the argument with his brother. The best thing she could do was simply leave in silence before anyone woke up. It would be easier for everyone. Marina grabbed a sheet of paper and a pen she found in the nightstand drawer. With a trembling hand, she wrote a short but heartfelt message. Mr. Mendelsohn, I have no words to thank you for what you did for me and Sophia this week. You gave us a chance to survive when no one else would. I know this arrangement was temporary, and I don't want to cause you any more trouble. I will seek help in the right places. May God bless you for your kindness. With eternal gratitude, Marina. She folded the note and left it on the neatly made bed. Then she picked up Sophia in her arms, along with the backpack that was now a little heavier with the donated clothes, and left the guest house. The garden was silent in the early morning, only the bird song breaking the quiet. Marina took one last look at the main mansion, where all the windows were still dark, and began to walk toward the gate. She had gone halfway when she heard a voice behind her. Where do you think you're going? Marina turned abruptly and found Robert standing on the main house porch. He was dressed in running clothes, clearly having just woken up or perhaps not having slept at all. His expression was unreadable in the faint light of dawn. I was leaving. Marina kept her voice steady despite her racing heart. The deadline is up. I don't want to abuse your hospitality anymore. Robert walked down the porch steps and approached her with measured steps. You were going to leave without saying anything? Without even a personal thank you? I left a note. Marina adjusted Sophia in her arms, feeling the baby stir with the movement. I thought it would be easier this way, for all of us. Robert stopped a few feet from her, crossing his arms. Easier. He laughed without humor. You have no idea where you're going, do you? You have no money, no concrete plans. You'll go back to the streets and probably get worse again. And your daughter will end up exactly where you fear most. Marina felt tears burn, but she forced herself to face him. I'll figure something out. I'll look for shelters, social programs, anything. I can't stay here. Your brother is right. I'm taking advantage of you, and that's not fair. My brother knows nothing. Robert took another step toward her, his voice becoming more intense. He doesn't know what it's like to wake up every night with nightmares. He doesn't know what it's like to carry the weight of not having been able to protect the one you loved most. He doesn't know what it's like to look at a 4-month-old child and see a chance to maybe, just maybe, do something right this time. Marina remained silent, not knowing what to say. Robert ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration and confusion. All this week, I tried to keep my distance. I tried to convince myself that this was just a temporary arrangement, an act of charity and nothing more. But that night when I calmed your daughter, something broke inside me, and I realized I don't want you to leave. Not like this. Marina's heart leaped. What are you saying? I'm saying stay. Another week, or two, as long as you need to truly recover and make a solid plan. Connie can help you look for social reintegration programs, prepare resumes, find resources, but do it the right way, not by simply running away in the middle of the night like a thief. Marina shook her head, tears finally streaming. I can't do that. I can't keep depending on you. I've done that too much already. You returned my wallet when you could have simply kept the money and solved your problems. Robert took the final step, standing right in front of her. You showed more integrity in a moment of desperation than most people show in a lifetime. That's worth something. It's worth at least giving you a real chance to get out of this situation, not just a few more days, but enough time to make a difference. Marina wanted to accept. Every fiber of her being screamed to accept that generous offer. But she also knew that the longer she stayed, the harder it would be to leave, and the more Robert would become attached, which would only cause more pain in the end. And your brother will say he was right, that I'm a con artist who is manipulating you. Let me worry about my brother. Robert extended his hand. Stay, please. Marina looked at the outstretched hand, then at Sophia, then back at Robert. She saw something in his eyes she hadn't seen before. Hope. Fragile and scared, but hope nonetheless. And she realized that maybe, just maybe, this situation wasn't just about her receiving help. Maybe Robert needed it too in some way, needed to feel that he could still make a difference in someone's life. With trembling hands, Marina took Robert's hand. All right, I'll stay, but with conditions. I want to work. I want to feel useful. Whether it's helping Connie around the house or doing anything else, I don't want to be just another person you support out of pity. Robert squeezed her hand briefly before letting go. Deal. Connie will love having the help. And you can start slow, without overexerting yourself while you're still recovering. They walked back to the guest house together in silence. The sun was fully rising now, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Marina felt something strange and unfamiliar forming in her chest. It took a few seconds to recognize what it was. Hope. For the first time in months, she felt that maybe there was a way out of that nightmare, that maybe the future wasn't just survival, but something better. The following weeks established a new and unexpectedly comfortable routine. Marina began by helping Connie with simple tasks, folding clean clothes, organizing pantries, preparing simple meals. Connie was a patient teacher, teaching not only household chores, but also sharing her life wisdom. They talked for hours while they worked, and Marina discovered that the housekeeper had lost a young daughter many years ago, which explained her natural compassion. Sophia thrived in that environment. She was gaining weight healthily, sleeping better, and starting to smile more. Marina watched her interact with Connie, who treated the baby with grandmotherly affection and felt a gratitude so deep it sometimes hurt. But the most surprising presence in Sophia's life was Robert. He had started showing up at the guest house more frequently, always with some excuse. He needed to talk to Connie about groceries, or he wanted to check if Marina needed more medicine, or he was simply passing through the garden and decided to quickly step inside. But Marina noticed the real reason. He wanted to see Sophia, and more than that, he seemed to need to see her. One afternoon, Marina found him in the small living room of the guest house, sitting in the rocking chair Connie had brought, with Sophia sleeping in his arms. He was looking at the baby with an expression of such deep tenderness that Marina was paralyzed in the doorway, not wanting to interrupt the moment. Robert was whispering something to the sleeping child, words Marina couldn't fully hear, but which seemed to carry decades of pain and longing. When Robert finally noticed her presence, he was slightly embarrassed, as if caught doing something intimate. "Sorry." She was crying, and Connie was busy, so I thought I'd calm her down. Marina entered the room and sat on the nearby sofa. "You don't need to apologize. You're good with her. She loves you." Robert looked back at Sophia, a shadow crossing his face. "She doesn't know me well enough to love me. She just responds to the comfort any adult could offer." "That's not true." Marina leaned forward. "Babies feel things. They feel when someone truly cares, and Sophia feels that in you, just like she felt it with me when I had nothing left to offer except my love." There was a long silence. Robert continued rocking the chair gently, his eyes never leaving Sophia's face. My daughter would be her age now. She would turn 15 in a few months, a rebellious teenager, probably giving me trouble with dating and wanting to go out with friends. He smiled sadly. "I would give anything to have those problems. I would give anything to have one more day with her." Marina felt her heart clench. "Connie told me a little about what happened to your family." Robert stiffened slightly. "What exactly did she tell you?" Marina chose her words carefully. "She said you lost your wife and daughter 15 years ago, that it was sudden and devastating, and that you never fully recovered." Robert was silent for so long that Marina thought he wouldn't answer. Then, in a rough, low voice, he began to speak. "It was a car accident. We were coming back from a family trip to the coast. I was driving. The weather was bad. It was raining heavily, but I wanted to get home. My wife, Marcella, asked me to stop and wait for the rain to pass. But I insisted. I said I knew the road well, that everything was under control." He took a deep breath, his face contorting with the pain of the memory. "I lost control of the car on a curve. We hit a tree. I escaped with minor injuries. They weren't so lucky. Marcella passed instantly. Isabella was taken to the hospital, but the injuries were too severe. She passed away 3 days later, and I was holding her hand when it happened." Marina felt tears stream down silently. "I'm so sorry. I truly am." Ryan looked at her, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "For 15 years, I blamed myself. I locked myself away in this void I built, keeping everyone at arm's length. Because if I don't get attached, I can't lose anyone again. And then you show up, with your daughter in your arms, returning my wallet when you could have kept the cash, showing the kind of integrity I thought didn't exist in the world anymore. And something broke. Or maybe something started to mend. I don't know yet." Maya stood up and walked over to him, gently placing her hand on his shoulder. "You can't carry that guilt forever, Ryan. What happened was a tragic accident, but you survived, and you can still make a difference. You've already made a difference for me and Sophia. You've done more than anyone else would." Ryan covered her hand with his, and they stayed like that for a long moment. Two strangers united by pain, loss, and the desperate attempt to find some meaning in life again. Sophia sighed, contentedly in Ryan's arms, completely oblivious to the complexity of the adult's feelings around her. And in that moment, something fundamentally shifted between Maya and Ryan. A bridge began to form, where before there had only been distance and distrust. Weeks turned into months, and Maya's life changed in ways she never thought possible. She was no longer sick and weak. With proper nutrition, rest, and the medical care Ryan continued to provide, her health had fully recovered. Sophia was growing fast and healthy, hitting all her developmental milestones with visible joy. She was already rolling over on her own, laughing loudly with ease, and starting to show a personality of her own, curious and affectionate. Maya now worked regularly alongside Clara, having become an essential part of the household's operation. She didn't just help with chores, she had started taking her own initiatives. She reorganized the entire pantry more efficiently, created an herb garden in the guest house backyard, and even started preparing some special meals that Ryan discreetly praised. She no longer felt like an intruder or a passive recipient of charity. She felt useful, valued. But it was the relationship between Ryan and Sophia that had changed the most. The businessman, who initially maintained a calculated distance, now visited the guest house daily. He had established an unofficial routine where, after work, he spent at least an hour with the baby before dinner. He played with her, talked in a soft voice, teaching her simple things like clapping her hands and making funny sounds. Sophia recognized him instantly, her little face lighting up in a wide smile whenever he entered the room. One evening, Maya was finishing cleaning the kitchen when she heard laughter coming from the living room. She walked over and found Ryan lying on the rug with Sophia balanced in his outstretched hands above him, making the baby fly like a little airplane. Sophia was giggling with such joy that Maya felt her heart melt. Ryan was completely different from the first time she had seen him. His face was relaxed, genuinely happy, and there was a lightness about him that hadn't existed before. "She's a very brave little pilot," Ryan said, carefully lowering Sophia back onto his chest. "She's not afraid of anything. She trusts you." Maya sat on the sofa, observing them with a smile. "She knows you would never let her fall." Ryan turned, his head to look at Maya, still holding Sophia comfortably nestled against him. "Sometimes I'm afraid of that trust. What if I fail again? What if I can't protect her when she needs it?" Maya shook her head firmly. "You can't live with that fear forever. You didn't fail your family, Ryan. You went through a horrible tragedy, but that wasn't your fault. And you won't fail Sophia, or me. You've proven that every day for the last 3 months." Ryan sat up, still holding Sophia against his chest. The baby yawned and started getting sleepy. "I want to tell you something. I spoke with some of my contacts. There's a professional training program sponsored by a group of partner companies. They offer free courses in administration, accounting, human resources. I secured a spot for you in the next course, which starts in 2 weeks. It's 3 months of classes, part-time, and at the end, you receive a recognized market certificate." Maya gasped. "You did that for me. Clara can look after Sophia during classes, and you've already shown you're organized, responsible, and a fast learner. With this certificate, you can get a real job. A job that pays enough for you to rent your own place, to have independence." Ryan hesitated. "If that's what you want." Maya felt conflicting emotions flood her chest. It was exactly what she needed to rebuild her life. The chance to have a profession, to support Sophia on her own, not to depend eternally on Ryan's kindness. But at the same time, the idea of leaving that house, of moving away from the man who had become so important to her and her daughter, caused an unexpected ache. "I don't know what to say. That's incredible. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're the one who's going to have to do the hard work." Ryan smiled slightly. "But I know you can do it. You are the most determined woman I've ever met." Sophia finally fell completely asleep, and Ryan carefully passed her to Maya. Their fingers brushed briefly during the transfer, and Maya felt an electric current shoot up her arm. She looked at Ryan and saw that he had felt it too. Their eyes met and stayed connected for a few seconds too long to be casual. Then Ryan pulled back, clearing his throat uncomfortably. "I should go. I still have some calls to make today." After he left, Maya stood there with Sophia in her arms, her heart pounding. She couldn't deny it anymore. Something was growing between her and Ryan, something beyond gratitude, beyond friendship, something dangerous and complicated and completely inappropriate given the difference in their positions. But it was there, undeniable and terrifying. The following days were strange. Ryan started keeping more distance again, as if he too had noticed what was happening and was trying to retreat. He still visited Sophia, but his visits were shorter, and he avoided being alone with Maya. Clara noticed the change and confronted Maya one morning while they were preparing breakfast. "What happened between you two?" the housekeeper asked directly. "Mr. Ryan is acting like he's running away from something." Maya sighed, unable to hide the truth from the woman who had become like a mother to her. "I think we both realized something is happening, something that shouldn't be happening. He's my benefactor, Clara. I depend on him to survive. any feeling beyond gratitude would be completely inappropriate. Clara stopped chopping vegetables and stared at Maya with a penetrating gaze. Honey, do you really believe that? That romantic feelings are inappropriate just because they started under difficult circumstances? I've seen the way Mr. Ryan looks at you, and I've seen the way you look at him. It's not just gratitude, it's a real connection. It's mutual care. It's two people who found each other at the right time, even if the circumstances were all wrong. Maya shook her head, tears threatening to spill over. But how could it work? He's rich, powerful, educated. I'm a former homeless person with no formal education and a baby. His world and mine are completely different. And besides, he's still grieving the family he lost. I shouldn't try to take that place. You're not trying to take anyone's place. Clara placed a hand on Maya's shoulder. You are simply existing, being yourself, and that is helping Mr. Ryan live again. For the first time in 15 years, I see light in that man's eyes. I see hope. And it's not just because of Sophia, although she plays a huge role in it. It's because of you, too. Because of the strength you've shown, the integrity, the way you face adversity. Maya wanted to believe those words. She wanted to allow those feelings to grow and develop naturally. But fear paralyzed her. Fear of misinterpreting things. Fear of ruining everything. Fear that Ryan was just projecting his feelings for his lost family onto her and Sophia, and that when he realized it, everything would crumble. That night, Maya put Sophia to sleep and decided to get some air in the garden. The night was cool but pleasant, and the stars shone brightly in the clear sky. She sat on the wooden bench under a leafy tree and allowed her thoughts to wander. I didn't expect to find you out here. Ryan's voice made her jump. He was standing at the edge of the garden, hands in his pockets, clearly having come from the main mansion. Can I join you? Maya nodded, her heart accelerating again. Ryan sat down beside her, maintaining a respectful but small distance. For a few minutes, neither of them said anything, simply observing the starry sky in shared silence. I've been avoiding you, Ryan finally said, his voice low. I know it, and I apologize. It's not fair to you after everything. Maya took a deep breath. Why were you avoiding me? Ryan turned to face her, and, under the soft moonlight, his eyes looked vulnerable and scared, because I realized something these last few months, something that terrifies me more than anything. I realized I'm developing feelings for you, feelings that go far beyond helping someone in need or feeling satisfaction from doing a good deed. Real, deep feelings. And that scares me because I swore I would never let that happen again. I swore I would never get attached to anyone again. Maya felt her whole world shift with those words. He felt the same way. It wasn't just her. I feel it too, she whispered. And I'm terrified too. Because you saved me, Ryan. You saved me and my daughter when no one else cared. How can I be sure that what I feel is real and not just extreme gratitude? Because I know the difference between gratitude and love. Ryan leaned in slightly. Because over the last 3 months, I've watched you grow and strengthen. I've watched you work hard, care for your daughter with a dedication that impresses me every day. I've seen your kindness to Clara, your patience in learning new things, your determination to become independent. And I fell in love with every little detail of that journey. Not with the desperate woman who returned my wallet, but with the strong, resilient woman you are. Maya felt tears stream freely now. But what about your family? What if you're just trying to replace what you lost? What if in a few months you realize you made a mistake? Ryan gently took her hands in his. I loved Michelle deeply, and Isabella was my whole world. Nothing and no one can replace what I had with them. And it took me years to understand that it's not about replacement. It's about allowing my heart to open again to something new and different. You are not Michelle. Sophia is not Isabella. And I am not trying to recreate the past. I am trying to build a future where I am not just an empty man wandering through a mansion that is too big. A future where I have purpose, connection, and maybe, just maybe, love again. Maya looked at the man who had completely transformed since the day she met him. The cold, distant businessman who had ignored her on the sidewalk had disappeared, replaced by someone gentle, vulnerable, and courageous, enough to admit his feelings. And she realized Clara was right. This was real. Scary and complicated, but real. I don't know how to make this work, she admitted. I don't know how to navigate this situation, but I know I want to try. If you want to, too. Ryan smiled, a genuine, complete smile that lit up his entire face. I do, more than anything. They sat there in the garden for another hour, talking about fears and hopes, about the past and possible futures. There were no kisses or grand dramatic declarations, just two adults admitting vulnerability and deciding to give the unexpected a chance. It was delicate and new and perfectly imperfect, and for the first time, Maya allowed the hope that had grown in her chest to fully expand, filling all the empty spaces that pain had left. The following months brought both subtle and profound changes. Maya started the professional training course and discovered a natural aptitude for administration and organization. She absorbed the knowledge enthusiastically, studying at night after Sophia slept, completing all assignments with exemplary dedication. Her professors frequently praised her work ethic and her ability to apply theoretical concepts to practical situations. For the first time in her adult life, Maya felt she had a real professional future ahead of her. Sophia, now 7 months old, was getting smarter and more interactive every day. She was sitting up on her own, drooling enthusiastically while trying to crawl, and showing clear preferences for certain people and objects. Clara continued to look after her during Maya's classes, and the housekeeper often commented on how Sophia seemed to search for Ryan with her eyes whenever she heard his voice on the property. The relationship between Maya and Ryan evolved gradually and carefully. They didn't rush to turn newly admitted feelings into something physical or dramatic. Instead, they allowed the connection to deepen naturally. They had dinner together a few nights a week, talking for hours about everything and nothing. Ryan told stories of his childhood, of when he built his company from scratch, of the trips he took around the world. Maya shared memories of her own difficult childhood, of the period in college she had to abandon when her mother got sick, of the dreams she had left behind, but which now seemed possible again. One Saturday afternoon, Ryan showed up at the guest house with an unexpected proposal. I was thinking maybe you two could move into the main mansion. There are plenty of spare rooms, and it would be more practical. You wouldn't have to cross the garden with Sophia every time. And honestly, this house has been too empty for too long. Maya hesitated, feeling the weight of the decision. Moving into the main mansion seemed like a huge step, something that would fundamentally change the dynamic between them. Are you sure? Wouldn't it be weird? I still technically work for you, even if our relationship is more complicated now. Ryan sat down in the rocking chair that had become his favorite spot. I understand your concerns, but think about it practically. Sophia is growing. She'll need more space soon, and you'll start working shortly after you finish the course. It would be much easier if you were more centralized on the property. Besides, he added with a shy smile, I like having you close. The house doesn't feel so empty when you're in it. Maya finally agreed, and the move happened the following week. Ryan had prepared a huge room on the second floor of the mansion with a smaller adjacent suite, transformed into a nursery. The space was beautifully decorated, but in a cozy way, not overtly luxurious. There was even a rocking chair identical to the one in the guest house, strategically placed near the window overlooking the garden. The transition was smoother than Maya expected. Clara was visibly happy with the change, saying the mansion finally felt like a real home again. Ryan kept his room at the other end of the hall, respecting boundaries but remaining present. They established a routine where they had breakfast together. Ryan worked during the day while Maya went to her classes, and then they had dinner as a family in the evening. Family. The word began to naturally infiltrate conversations. Clara used it frequently, commenting on family plans or the family dynamic. Ryan used it once, almost by accident, when he was talking on the phone with a business associate and mentioned he had family commitments that night. And Maya found that she didn't mind. In fact, she liked it. Because in a strange and non-traditional way, they had become a family. But not everything was perfect. Ryan's brother, Marcus, showed up unexpectedly one afternoon. Maya was playing with Sophia in the main living room when he walked in unannounced. He was a tall man like Ryan, but stockier and with a permanently suspicious expression. He stopped when he saw Maya and the baby, his eyes narrowing. "So it's true. You actually let her move into the house." Maya stood up, holding Sophia protectively. "Mr. Marcus, I presume. Nice to meet you." Marcus ignored Maya's extended hand. "Where is my brother?" "He's in a meeting, but he should be back in a few hours. Clara is in the kitchen if you want to wait for him there." "I'll wait here." Marcus sat, down heavily on the sofa, his eyes never leaving Maya. "And you can explain to me exactly what is going on? How a stranger who showed up off the street a few months ago is now living in my brother's house, acting like she owns the place." Maya felt anger bubble up, but forced herself to remain calm. "I don't act like I own anything. Your brother kindly offered us a place to stay while I recover and get professional training. I'm taking a course and will soon be looking for a job so I can have my own home." "Sure you are?" Marcus laughed cynically. "And in the meantime, you take advantage of my brother's generosity, his guilt over the family he lost, and you're probably already calculating how much you can extract from him before you leave." Maya felt tears of frustration and anger. "How dare you accuse me of those things? I never asked Ryan for money. I never asked for anything beyond a temporary chance to get back on my feet. And I am working hard every day to achieve my independence." "Working hard?" Marcus leaned forward, his voice full of venom. "You think I don't see what you're doing? Using that child as bait, making my brother get attached, exploiting his pain. My niece would be the same age as that baby if she were alive. Do you think that's a coincidence? You exploited my brother's deepest wound." Maya was about to respond when she heard Ryan's voice echoing from the entrance. "What is going on here?" Ryan walked into the room, his expression shifting from confusion to rage when he saw the scene. "Marcus, what are you doing in my house uninvited?" Marcus stood up, facing his brother. "I came because someone needs to make you see reality. You are being manipulated, Ryan. This woman is clearly taking advantage of you. And you're letting her because you want to replace Isabella. You want to pretend you have a family again. But this isn't real. It's a fantasy based on guilt and desperation." Ryan took firm steps toward his brother, his face red with anger. "You have no right to come into my house and talk to Maya like that. You have no right to judge my decisions or my feelings. And you definitely have no right to mention my daughter that way. I'm your brother." Marcus raised his voice. "It's my job to protect you when you're making a huge mistake. This woman will destroy you. She'll suck everything you have and then she'll leave, leaving you even more broken than you were." "Enough." Ryan pointed to the door. "Get out of my house, now. And don't come back until you can treat Maya with the respect she deserves." Marcus looked between Ryan and Maya, shaking his head in disbelief. "You'll regret this. When she shows her true colors, you'll regret it. And don't come running to me asking for help." He slammed, the door shut. The silence that followed was heavy and tense. Maya was trembling, holding Sophia so tightly that the baby started to fuss. Ryan approached her, his hands outstretched in a comforting gesture. "Maya, I am so sorry. My brother had no right to talk to you like that. He is wrong about everything he said." Maya shook her head, tears finally falling. "But what if he's not completely wrong? What if I really am taking advantage of you without realizing it? What if you really are just trying to replace your family, and when you realize it, everything will fall apart?" Ryan gently held her shoulders, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Look at me. You are not taking advantage of me. You work hard every day. You study at night. You care for your daughter with admirable dedication. You have never asked me for anything I didn't freely offer. And as for replacing my family," he took a deep breath, "I am not trying to replace anyone. I am trying to live again. I am trying to build something new, not recreate what I lost. There is a huge difference." "But Sophia is the same age your daughter would be," Maya sobbed. "That can't be a coincidence. That can't be healthy." Ryan looked at Sophia, who was starting to cry with all the tension in the room. He held out his arms, and Maya automatically passed the baby to him. Ryan gently cradled her, and Sophia calmed down almost immediately. When Isabella passed, she was 5 years old. 5 years of concrete memories. I know exactly who she was, what her laugh was like, her quirks, her preferences. And I look at Sophia, and I don't see Isabella. I see a completely different child with her own emerging personality. Yes, caring for Sophia brings me joy in a way I haven't felt in years, but not because I'm pretending she's my daughter, but because I love this child for who she is. And I love you, Maya. The words hung in the air. It was the first time either of them had used the word love directly. Maya felt her heart accelerate dangerously. "You love me?" Ryan nodded, his eyes never leaving hers as he continued rocking Sophia. "I do. And I know it's early. I know it's complicated. I know there are 1,000 reasons why. This could go wrong. But I'm tired of living in fear. I'm tired of depriving myself of real connections because I'm afraid of losing again. Yes, loving means risking being hurt, but it also means having something worth living for." Maya moved closer, resting her head against Ryan's shoulder as he held Sophia between them. "I love you too, and I'm so afraid of this. But I don't want to live in fear anymore either." They stayed like that for a long time, the three of them together in an embrace that seemed to seal something important. Clara found them. That way, when she came to check on the noise she had heard, she simply smiled, shook her head in approval, and silently returned to the kitchen, giving them privacy. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Maya and Ryan had a long, honest conversation about the future. They established clear boundaries, discussed practical and emotional concerns, and made promises of open communication. It wouldn't be easy, they both knew that. There would be judgment from outsiders, practical complications, and their own internal demons to face. But for the first time, they both felt they had a solid foundation to build, something real and lasting. The mutual trust that had been forged through months of living together, the brutal honesty they shared, and the genuine love that had grown between them were stronger cornerstones than many relationships had. 6 months had passed since the confrontation with Marcus, and life in the mansion had settled into a comfortable, happy rhythm. Maya had completed her course with distinction and secured a job at a mid-sized accounting firm downtown. The salary wasn't extraordinary, but it was enough for her to start saving and planning for real financial independence. Sophia, now over a year old, was starting to take her first wobbly steps, always reaching for Ryan's arms when she threatened to fall. The relationship between Maya and Ryan had matured into something deep and stable. They didn't rush to make the relationship physical, respecting the mutual need to build something emotionally solid first. But there was real intimacy between them now, manifested in 1,000 small daily gestures. Ryan's hand naturally finding Maya's during dinner, the goodnight kiss on the forehead she gave him after Sophia slept, the way he automatically prepared her coffee exactly the way she liked it every morning. Clara watched, everything with maternal approval, often commenting that the house finally had life again. The walls that once echoed with empty silence now resonated with baby laughter, animated conversations, and occasionally music when Ryan decided to play the piano that had been abandoned in the living room for 15 years. But Maya knew there was an important conversation they needed to have. A conversation she had been putting off because she was afraid of the answer, but which she couldn't avoid indefinitely. One evening, after putting Sophia to bed, she found Ryan in his private office reviewing documents. He looked up when she entered and smiled, that warm smile that still made her heart race. "Can I talk to you about something important?" Ryan immediately closed his laptop and gave her his full attention. "Of course. Sit here. Did something happen?" Maya sat in the chair across from his desk, organizing her thoughts. "I did the math. With my current salary and saving well, in approximately 6 months I'll have enough for a down payment on a small apartment. Nothing luxurious, but a place for me and Sophia. A place where I can truly say I'm standing on my own 2 feet." Ryan was very quiet. His expression was impossible to read. "I understand. And when are you planning to do this?" Maya nervously wrung her hands. "That's the hard part, because I don't know if that's what I really want. In these last few months, this house has become our home. Sophia sees you as her dad. Clara is like her grandmother. And you." She took a deep breath. "You've become the most important person in my life. But I also can't just stay here indefinitely as your dependent. That wouldn't be fair to either of us." Ryan stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the moonlit garden. "You know what my biggest fear was when I realized I was falling in love with you?" he asked without turning around. "It was the fear that one day you would decide you needed to prove your independence by leaving, that you would feel you needed to be alone to be truly free. And I would completely understand, but it would also destroy me." He turned to face her, and there were tears in his eyes. "Maya, you are not my dependent. You are my partner, my equal. The fact that I have more money doesn't change that. What I have materially is irrelevant compared to what you brought into my life. You gave me back my humanity. You taught me how to live again. You gave me a reason to wake up in the morning besides just going to work and coming back to an empty house." Maya stood up and walked over to him. "But people will always judge. They will always say that I took advantage of you, that I'm an opportunist who used my daughter to gain access to your wealth. Let them talk." Ryan held her hands. "I don't care about the opinion of strangers. I only care about you, me, and Sophia. And if what you need is to prove to yourself that you can be independent, I completely support it. You can rent that apartment. You can live alone for as long as you need, but I will be here, waiting for the day you decide that independence doesn't necessarily mean being alone. It means having the choice, and I hope you choose to come back, choose to build a life with me, not because you need to, but because you want to." Maya felt tears stream freely. "I don't want to leave. I just wanted to be sure that staying would be my real choice, not a necessity. And now I know. I choose to stay. I choose you. I choose this family we built." Ryan pulled her into a tight hug. "Then stay, not as my guest or my employee or someone who owes me something. Stay as my partner, as the woman I love and who loves our daughter." Our daughter. The words resonated deeply with Maya. Ryan had never verbalized it before, although it was obvious in the way he interacted with Sophia. "She is our daughter, isn't she?" Ryan pulled back slightly to look into her eyes. "If you allow me to love her as mine, if you allow me to be her father in every way that matters, I know I'm not her biological father, but I love her as if I were, and I want to be present for every milestone, every achievement, every challenge. I want to be the person she looks for when she falls, who teaches her to ride a bike, who takes her to school on the first day." Maya nodded, sobbing now. "I want that too. I want you to be her father. You already are, Ryan. You already are in every way that matters." They kissed then, not for the first time, but in a different way, deeper, more committed. A kiss that sealed not only romantic love, but a commitment to family, to a shared future, to facing the world together. The following months brought formal and emotional changes. Ryan hired a lawyer to begin the legal process of recognizing Sophia's paternity, something Maya fully supported. It wouldn't be simple or fast, but it was important for everyone that the bond be officially recognized. Maya also started therapy, something Ryan had gently suggested, to process all the trauma of the months on the streets and the speed with which her life had changed. The therapist helped her understand that accepting help did not diminish her strength, and that building a life with someone did not mean losing her independence. Sophia grew fast, a cheerful and curious child who called Ryan Daddy and Maya Mommy, with no confusion about who her parents were. Clara often commented that she had never seen a child more loved or happier. The relationship with Marcus remained tense. He no longer visited the mansion and maintained minimal contact with Ryan only for family business matters. But Ryan had made peace with it, saying that some bridges were too burned to be rebuilt, and that he was okay with that. On a rainy spring afternoon, 2 years after that cold night when Maya had returned the wallet, Ryan asked her to meet him in the home office. Maya entered and found him standing near the same window where they had had so many important conversations, holding a small velvet box. Maya's heart pounded. Ryan turned around and she saw nervousness on his face, something rare to see in the normally confident businessman. "Maya Alves," he began, his voice slightly trembling. "You changed my life in ways I never imagined possible. You taught me that it is possible to love again after devastating loss. You taught me that family is not just blood, but choice and commitment. You gave me a reason to live that I thought I had lost forever." He knelt, opening the box to reveal a simple but elegant ring, a blue stone surrounded by small diamonds. "I am not trying to replace the past or recreate what I lost. I am building a new future with you, and I want to make this official in the eyes of the world. Will you marry me?" Maya couldn't speak for several seconds, intense emotions crossing her chest. She thought about how dramatically her life had changed, how that decision to return the wallet instead of keeping the money had led to this moment, how an act of integrity in her most desperate moment had opened doors she never imagined existed. "Yes," she finally said, tears of joy streaming freely. "Yes, I want to." "Marry you." Ryan placed the ring on her finger and stood up, pulling her into a deep kiss. When they separated, both were smiling and crying at the same time. That's when they heard sounds coming from the door. Sophia was there, leaning on the doorframe, having walked alone from her room. Behind her was Clara, holding a tissue to her eyes, clearly emotional. "Daddy, Mommy!" Sophia exclaimed in her still infantile voice, holding out her little arms to them. Ryan picked her up and the three of them hugged. Clara entered the office, joining the family embrace. In that moment, in that room, a completely unconventional but deeply real family was sealed. The wedding happened 6 months later, a small, intimate ceremony in the mansion garden. Only close friends and trusted associates were invited. Marcus did not attend, but sent a card with no message, just his signature, which Ryan interpreted as a first small step toward eventual reconciliation. Sophia was the flower girl, wearing a little white dress and carrying rose petals in a basket, delighting everyone present with her seriousness in executing the task. Maya wore a simple but elegant dress, and as she walked down the makeshift aisle in the garden toward Ryan, she thought about the entire journey, from a cold, desperate night to this moment of pure joy. From a woman who had lost everything to someone who had more than she ever imagined possible. Not in material terms, although those things certainly helped, but in terms of love, family, and purpose. The vows they exchanged were personal and deeply emotional. Ryan promised to love and protect not just Maya, but Sophia, to be the father the girl deserved and the partner Maya needed. Maya promised to always maintain the integrity that led her to return that wallet, to continue fighting for her independence while building a shared life, and to love Ryan not despite his scars, but including them, because they were part of what made him who he was. When the officiant declared them husband and wife, the kiss they shared was witnessed not only by the guests but by Sophia, who clapped enthusiastically, making everyone laugh. Clara cried openly, telling everyone who would listen that she had worked in that house for 20 years and had never seen it so full of life and love. The reception was joyful and relaxed. There were emotional speeches, live music, delicious food prepared by Clara and her team. And as night fell and the garden lights were turned on, creating a magical atmosphere, Ryan and Maya danced their first dance as husband and wife, while Sophia slept peacefully in Clara's arms nearby. As they danced, Ryan whispered in Maya's ear, "Thank you for returning my wallet that night. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for teaching me how to live again." Maya leaned her head on his shoulder. "Thank you for seeing past the desperate woman on the streets, for seeing who I could be, for taking a chance not just on me, but on us." The following years brought more growth and joy. Sophia grew up strong and healthy, a smart, loving girl who had no memory of the hard days and only knew a home filled with love. Maria continued working and growing professionally, eventually being promoted to a managerial position at her company. She also started volunteering, helping other women in situations similar to the one she had faced, using her own story as proof that it was possible to get back on your feet. Robert slowly learned to let go of the guilt he had carried for 15 years. The therapy he started helped, as did the love of his new family. He never forgot Michelle and Isabella, but he learned to honor their memories while living fully in the present. He and Maria even visited their graves a few times a year, bringing Sophia, explaining to her about the people who came before and who would always be part of the family history. Connie remained the stabilizing force in the house, eventually retiring formally but choosing to continue living on the property in a renovated guest house, not as an employee but as a beloved member of the family. Sophia called her grandma, and the housekeeper completely melted every time she heard the word. Over time, even Michael started showing up occasionally for family dinners. The reconciliation was slow and full of awkward moments, but eventually he recognized, though he never verbally admitted it, that he had judged Maria unfairly. Seeing his brother's genuine happiness and the loving family he had built slowly softened his cynicism. On one special night, 5 years after that cold night on the city street, Maria was tucking Sophia, now 5.5, into bed. The little girl looked up at her with those curious, intelligent eyes and asked, "Mommy, how did you and Daddy meet?" Maria smiled, stroking her daughter's hair. "It was a very cold night, my love, and Daddy had dropped something very important. And Mommy gave it back to him, even when I could have done something else. And that small act of doing the right thing changed our lives forever. Why did you give it back, Mommy?" The question was genuinely curious, without any judgment. Maria thought for a moment. "Because I wanted you to grow up knowing that some things are more important than money. Integrity, honesty, doing the right thing, even when it's hard. Those are the things that truly define who we are. And in the end, those choices lead us exactly where we need to be." Sophia seemed satisfied with the answer and snuggled under the covers. "I love you, Mommy, and I love Daddy too, and Grandma Connie." Maria kissed her daughter's forehead. "And we love you more than anything in the world." She left the room and found Robert waiting in the hallway. He hugged her and they walked together to their own bedroom. As they got ready for sleep, Maria looked out the window at the moonlit garden, the same garden where so many important moments of their journey had taken place. And she felt a deep, overwhelming gratitude for every decision that had led her here, for the integrity she maintained even in her most desperate moment, for the courage to accept help, for the willingness to love again, and most of all, for the understanding that family doesn't always come in the way we expect, but when it comes in the right way, it is more precious than any treasure. Dear listeners, we hope the story of Maria, Robert, and Sophia has deeply touched your hearts. This journey shows us that a single act of integrity can transform not just one life, but several interconnected lives. Love and family can emerge from the most unlikely circumstances, and it is never too late to start over, to choose to do the right thing, to open your heart again. If this story resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to our channel to continue following moving and inspiring narratives that celebrate the resilience of the human spirit. Hit that like button. If Maria and Robert's journey moved you, and tell us in the comments which moment of the story touched your heart the most. Your interaction helps us continue bringing you stories that matter, stories that remind us of kindness, hope, and the transformative power of unconditional love. Every story is a window into the human soul, a reminder that no matter how dark the night may seem, there is always hope for a new dawn. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next stories. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that miracles can happen when we least expect them. And always remember, integrity, compassion, and love are the most powerful forces in the universe. Until the next story, dear listeners, may your lives be blessed with true connections and unconditional love.